Welcome back to the Whatnauts review show number 213, where each week we have a different story to talk about. It could be a comic, could be a movie, a TV show, all sorts of stuff. We read it, we watch it, we do what we have to do. We come back here and talk about it. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Good morning,
Hello.
Melissa. How are you?
Good morning. I'm okay. I'm very sleepy. I stayed out very late at the local theater.
Oh man, how late were you up?
It's an outdoor theater, and so the shows don't start until 8:15. And then it was super packed because it's like Saturday night, perfect weather. It was Mary Poppins. So this is the big family-friendly show. There were probably literally 10,000 people there. So it just takes a long time to get out of the parking lot at the end of the night and drive home. So I just didn't go to bed until like 1 a.m.
Oh, man. Welcome to my life, where bedtime is like 1 a.m., if not later. There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. So you went to go see Mary Poppins. That's pretty cool.
I saw it twice.
Nice.
Because I had season tickets to go see it with a friend, and then my family took my niece for her first trip to this local theater.
That's cool. That's good. I did not do as much adventurous stuff. I stayed home. I've just been watching TV shows and catching up on comics and stuff like that. I read all of Black Science in a span of like 2 or 3 days, all 9 volumes. So, and I had all 9 volumes. I hadn't read that last volume, and it had just been sitting there on my shelf for a couple years now. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to reread the whole thing. So I did. That's what I've been up to.
I don't think I know that title. Have you mentioned Black Science before?
I don't remember if I've pitched it or not. I might have. Long story short, it's like a sci-fi story about the multiverse, kind of.
Okay.
But it's very much about family and life and the choices you make and learning to be happy with them and content with them, while at the same time also still dreaming and still wanting more, stuff like that. So
okay,
it's a good book indeed.
Nice.
But we are not here to talk about Black Science. We are here to talk about Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah,
this is a kaiju film from 1968. This is I think they said it was the 9th film technically in the Godzilla franchise. However, there is not that much Godzilla. He's still the main monster in this one, but not as much of a Godzilla-centric movie as maybe I thought it was going to be going in. But from what I heard, this was described to me via the internet that this is kind of like the Avengers of monster movies. Which is an interesting way to describe this film. But this is what we watched this week: Destroy All Monsters. Yeah, I had a blast.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
This movie is from it was released in 1968 in Japan. It is full of rubber suits, miniatures, bright colors. You can watch it as one of the free movies on YouTube. They have an English dubbed version, which is what I watched, which I don't want to do it for every kaiju movie, but I felt like for at least one, I should watch, the way like my parents would have seen this movie if they saw it in the theater when they were kids. And it's a dub that does retain all the Japanese people and place names, which is nice.
That's cool. That is good. I watched it on HBO Max. In which they had the subbed version. It's the Criterion Collection version. So yeah, it's on HBO Max. It was on YouTube for free. There's a number of places you can go watch this one. But yeah, this was actually a lot of fun.
It was.
It is altogether wildly entertaining and really bad, and all of that at the same time. It is kind of what you expect for like a cheesy kaiju movie, where you know that like, oh, they used to make these with like rubber suits and miniatures, and they would stomp around on all these things, and it was just kind of chaos. And like, this was that in like the most in just the most beautiful, the best way possible. It was just bizarre. It was weird, and I loved it. It was great. Yeah, this is not so much the Avengers per se
not at all.
But we do have monsters like Mothra and Rodan. King Gidorah shows up at the end. There's Angrius. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. Manila. All sorts of stuff. I think they had 11 in total. But our good boy Godzilla is there stomping around doing
his son.
His thing. And his son. Yeah. Well, Godzilla Jr., however, whatever his name is. But yeah, this is an interesting one because the plot of this basically is, hey, humanity has kind of achieved peace, or so it would seem, and all these monsters now live on Monsterland, this island that they have relegated to where all these monsters can live, and they have systems where they can feed these monsters and keep them happy and sedated, so to speak, so that they won't go rampaging around the world. But something happens, something causes them to break out and go rampaging around the world, and it happens to be mind-controlling aliens. I hate when that happens.
Right.
It's the worst. Yeah, and these aliens come to Earth wanting to kind of carve out their own section of Earth for themselves, and they do this by displaying their technological prowess and by mind controlling these monsters. And it does not go as planned. Eventually, they break free of the mind control, but in a last-ditch attempt to be like, we'll show you, they summon King Gidorah. And now that all the monsters have lost all of the mind control and stuff, and Earth can kind of herd them back to Monsterland, they all fight King Gidorah. And a little bit of a spoiler alert here. They kick the shit out of King Gidorah.
Literally, they knock him over on the ground, and they all just stomp on him together.
They curb stomp the dude, man. But yeah, I mean, that is the plot. That is basically the whole movie that I just explained here. But man, it is a blast. It is fun to watch. It is bizarre. Just like we've been saying. Yeah, the special effects are cheesy. They're terrible. But it's so fascinating to watch between the set design, the way they do this movie. It's just, like I genuinely had a lot of fun watching this.
Yeah, and I don't know what the best special effects possible were in 1968.
Sure.
This might have been revolutionary. I don't know. But I think the effects really hold up. There's a lot of charm to them in these big cardboard, like neat geometric buildings that Godzilla gets to stomp through. It's really nice to look at. Nothing looks like this anymore.
yeah, it'd be really, really interesting if they made like a sequel to, or just
Right.
went back to making monster movies of this style, right? Like, let's get the
Yes.
rubber suits, let's get the miniatures, and just start stomping around.
What I love about them is that they're miniatures that very clearly are miniatures. And miniatures are still in use today, but you don't know that's what they are. I like how transparent all the effects in this movie are.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch. I have this Norton security thing on my computer that keeps popping up, and I hate it. And God, go away! I don't know why it will do this, but it's being stupid. It's making me go through this tour that I can't X out of. Until now, of like, here's a new feature on. I'm just like, go away, I hate you.
We have business to do.
We do. We have monster business to discuss here. Yeah, man. The one thing I will say I was fascinated by the most was the costuming and the set design. Man, I loved it. It was incredible. I thought it was brilliant.
That was also my favorite part, that we see these technicians in like bright red jumpsuits in like a bright green laboratory where everything is a bright blue, like big plastic button
primary
on a control
colors.
Panel.
Yeah. Man, it's so good. I highly recommend checking this one out if you're a fan of monster movies, or if you want to go back and teach yourself some more about kaiju films, kind of like we are here on the podcast. This, I think, is one to check out. I think this was a fascinating one. I keep saying that because it is.
It's fun for all ages. Put it on for a kid, put this on at a party.
Yeah.
Do you own a bar? Put this on at the bar. This is the perfect bar movie.
Ooh. A kaiju themed bar. That would be great.
There probably is one.
There has to be, but here in
There's
America, not one you're gonna see, right? That stinks. But yeah, kaiju themed bar. That'd be a lot of fun. You're onto something. Well, yeah. I don't know if I have much else to say in terms of like non-spoilery stuff, even though we kind of already spoiled the whole movie because it's just a really simple movie. But yeah, I think this is a good time for our housekeeping. And then when we get back from that, we will dive into, I guess, more spoilers and start dissecting the movie a little bit. But yeah, we will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and a thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/thewhatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you'd like to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. A big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Thank you.
It means a lot. Thank you. We appreciate it. Cool things that we've been up to here at the Whatnauts. Reactions galore. We've been keeping up with Miss Marvel. I did a trailer reaction to Paper Girls, which is out at the end of this month. July 2022 is when we are recording this one. And immediately well, not immediately, but after we record this, we are recording a spoiler cast to Thor Love and Thunder, which just came out a couple days ago. So go check all that stuff out. That's on our podcast feed called The Reactor Core. It's here on our YouTube page as well. On the Captain's Log, we recently had our trivia night on the podcast, which was a lot of fun.
Thrilling.
After that, we talked about some Mountain Dew stuff. We had some chaos.
It's most episodes.
On the podcast, I'm hitting the wrong buttons on our stream deck. All sorts of stuff. We got to describe what Thor Love and Thunder would be if it was a scented candle. All sorts of shenanigans.
Our favorite game.
Yes,
we talked about the liminal hallways beneath the Oklahoma City downtown business center.
We did. That's all on the Captain's Log. You guys can go check that out on our YouTube page as well. Let's see what else. Crossplay. This past week was just me and Alan. We got to discuss some of the latest video game news that's been happening, and the games we're excited about playing in the near future here. There's this cyberpunk cat game called Stray that I'm super excited for. So go check all that stuff out. You guys know how to find all of that. But yeah, I think that is about it for housekeeping right now. So that means let's get into spoilers. Bam. There we go. So yeah, I mean, we already kind of mentioned the whole plot because, like I said, this movie is very simple. Yeah. No real big twists. It's kind of what you expect. It's what's on the like movie poster. The movie, just monsters fighting. Here's the thing that I want to know. Where did we get the name Destroy All Monsters?
I guess that is Gidorah's mission.
Sure.
Because all these monsters, it's so funny where this movie starts. All these monsters are already in play. The world knows about them. The world has achieved peace. And there's like an island where all the monsters live. It's like a monster habitat. And there are like sensors like around the border that like if Godzilla walks too far into the ocean, like something beeps at him and then he turns around and he goes back.
Not the beeping. No.
Right. So nobody's trying to destroy these monsters, and the aliens are initially using the monsters. They're mind controlling them to destroy other parts of the world. And it's only when the human scientists remove that mind control and they turn the monsters back on the aliens. And then the aliens are like, we've got one more monster of our own you haven't seen before. It's King Ghidorah. He has 3 heads. He's a king. So I think Destroy All Monsters really just refers to King Ghidorah. That's his goal only.
Interesting. So according to the Wikipedia page, the Japanese name literally translates to Monster Total Advancement.
I like that.
The MTA
sounds like a real-time strategy game,
right? It sure does. Man, so as I was watching this, that's the kind of things I was thinking about. I was like, this would actually make for like a really good TV show or like an anime like remake of this, but still in that like 1960s sci-fi theme. That those like bright primary colors, the real simple designs on those space suits and stuff. Man, this was a for as bad as the special effects are, right? For as obvious as these rubber suits are for these monsters. I really, really enjoyed the special effects for all the like human characters, the outfits they had on, these uniforms, just incredible stuff. When you think of like 1970s sci-fi, or like just older sci-fi in general of like 1960s and before, like that is one of the things that I think of. There's this comic book that I borrowed a long time ago from Comixology Unlimited. I don't remember what it was called. I would have to dig it up, but it was some just like here's a collection of this one like comic book character from the like 1920s and his sci-fi adventures.
Ooh.
And it man, it was just like the primary colors. It was like the platonic concept of red and blue and yellow and green, and these were the colors used to make this book. And it's kind of what this movie is made out of. Just, man, those bright yellow like astronaut like spacesuits. I loved them. Those were amazing. And what's neat is that they often depict those astronauts up against these like brown and gray, not it's not desaturated, but they're up against the moon, right? And these like rocky caves, and so it is this like very bland, like monotoned, just heading, and then they pop out from behind the rocks in just the brightest yellow costume that you can think of, and just immediately you zero in on them. Yes. They stand out so much, and it's great. I loved it. Yeah, I just like I love this sci-fi aesthetic where it is just these giant primary colors. They had their like Skype phone, right, where they could do video calls in there.
And the person on the other end of the video call is holding like a normal phone receiver up to their head, but the astronauts are just talking in their helmets with no clear like microphone or earpiece. They're like, don't worry about how it works. Right. He can hear them.
Yeah, that they have lasers, they have all sorts of like really cool technology that I'm just like, man, I like, this is the kind of sci-fi I wish we had more of. Like, imagine like an HBO Max level drama set in this kind yeah sci-fi. That'd be amazing. That'd be more so colors. Cool. But yeah, man, the set design and costuming was fantastic.
And I think that's a real strength of the movie, is that you aren't bored when the monsters aren't around. Yes. Because all the humans are in these really colorful, plasticky, like toy playset settings. They're all wearing these bright colors. They all have got like neat geometric hair.
Yep. Indeed. So we've mentioned the special effects and stuff, and mentioned the use of like models and like toy cars and stuff like that, which I think was also used to actually pretty good effect.
Yes. I love a model city, and I was saying earlier, it doesn't look like something Weta Workshop would make for Lord of the Rings, where it completely vanishes in. You're like, I can't believe that's a miniature. They put the miniature city on screen, and you're like, that's a miniature city. Like, if I went to my local hobby center and I had a very big budget, I could make that out of stuff at the hobby center. Like, it doesn't look real high end and glossy. I love that. Like I said, I love just the geometric building that's just like a grid of windows. I love all of these like cardboard like skyscrapers Godzilla will smash. I love to look at them. I love tiny little broccoli trees on the side of a road with like little toy cars they're pulling around on like a monofilament string in a neat line.
Yeah, it's great. It's interesting because I think another notable, so you mentioned the Lord of the Rings one. That's kind of one of the like movie trivia things that I remember from my childhood, is that like Helm's Deep was like 1/3 scale. Like it was actually a lot smaller for people to be in there and a lot tighter, but somehow they made it work, and they did all this
There's
movie
these
magic.
Megatures, these things that are like, it's a miniature, but it's the size of a room. Like it's a miniature that is the size of a person. So it's a miniature, but it's big enough that they can have all this really tiny detail on it.
Yeah. And I here on the review show, another miniature that I remember both being incorporated into a shot for the movie and also just in the movie was Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
in a weird way.
One of our top miniatures.
Right. That first scene as it's kind of going through this heady is like at first you don't necessarily realize that it's a model, but very quickly you do. And it's just like, oh, okay, this is a miniature. Interesting. Well, is that special effects? And then it kind of pulls up and it's like, no, you're in the attic of this house that has this just big miniature set. And they use that to a nice effect where at first you just think it's a special effects shot. That's what they had to do to get that. And then like, no, it's actually practical. Like this is what they're
it's a diegetic miniature.
Yeah, this doesn't use it to that same effect because obviously they're trying to make it seem like, hey, this is the real thing. This is the real city. It's getting destroyed. It's getting blown up, all that stuff. And it's very obviously fake. Like you can tell immediately. It's like, oh, that's a Hot Wheels car. It's like, oh, that's a train model set. Man, but yeah, at first you're just like, ugh, cheesy effects, man. That does not hold. But man, I loved it. It was just like, it's so much fun to kind of see how far movies have come. Not to look back on it and be like, man, that was bad. Good thing we're not doing that anymore. But just to look back and think, man, the creativity they had to the ingenuity that they had to employ to make these, to realize their vision is just like, this is cool. Like I like this. So one thing I did see on their Wikipedia is that their spaceship, the SY3, I believe it was called, they made 3 different size models for depending on what kind of shot they were using. I like between stuff like that, scenes of the like subway system as the train is going in. I just think they had really good model work that they used. I have nothing but good things to say about that. It's hard to like, I don't have all of this like movie trivia or all that stuff or much of a comparison point because we haven't really watched many kaiju films yet. We've watched a small handful, but I'm starting to learn and starting to see like, okay, this is what I've always heard about, meets expectations. But I love it in a strange way.
like I said, it's really, it feels attainable. And something about that is really charming. Like it as helpful and as believable as digital effects can be. Like I can't really picture the making of them in my mind. I know it's a bunch of people like sitting at a computer, and a person sitting at a computer is anything. Like it's got so many possibilities, like you can't really grab onto it. Like I'm doing that right now. I'm not making a movie. When you look at these very clear, transparent like miniatures and practical effects, you can like envision it being constructed. You can see people with like glue and paint and like very carefully walking over different parts of a miniature to like set down a building. Like you can see the craftsmanship in it in a way that you can't with digital effects. Not to like, everything is a purpose, everything is a need. There is craftsmanship in everything. It just feels a little bit more tangible in this movie. And it may be because we've been in a world of digital effects for so often. It feels like a really nice, refreshing change to go back and see not just something practical, but something that is so old that the practicality of it is so transparent. You're like, that's made out of popsicle sticks.
Yeah, it's good fun though. Good fun. So let's talk about the aliens that show up here.
I love them. I
Um,
love that it's just a lady in like a silver cowl.
yeah, just like this bedazzled, like silver cowl outfit
Right.
thing, and all of her other aliens are in the same outfit. In this,
Right. I love that that's what it is. It's just 5 women in sparkly outfits, never more. You never get that much of a sense of a society or an army. It's 5 shiny women.
It's mostly, yeah, those 5 women. There's one video that they film, or one like telecall or something, that has one like random guy in the back there, and like I can't tell if that's just like a human that has been like, well, I'm getting mind controlled by these guys, or like, I've the technology all the way, they got it, high society over here, guys.
Right. I side with the aliens. Let me join you.
Right. Or if he is an actual like male Kilak or something, who knows? But I again, just like very simplistic costume that is just like, man, this is bizarre. She's just in this like bedazzled outfit. This is great. So there is a scene that I really liked, where they stumble into this cave and they find one of the Kilak bases. And there's part of it that is green screened, that they make this cave look ginormous because inside is this like secret base, right? And it's like finely constructed, and there's computer servers in there and all this stuff. Like what you would think of for like a sci-fi base, big giant Rome with evil alien sci-fi stuff, right? But then they have this set where they talk in person with the people, where it's this room with like these fabric drapes in them, and that's it. It is like the simplest set. It meant to be like, you can't really see the edges of the wall, but they need to have something in there. So they're just like, put some just fabric, just drapes and fabric.
There's fabric in space
there. Sure, yeah.
Modern space doesn't have enough fabric. We need more aliens that are just wearing like moo-moos. We need to go to more spaceships that are just full of wafting curtains.
But it is like the most simple set design you could think of, in the most obvious way. And it's just, again, it's fascinating. It's bizarre. It's just like, man, imagine how serious this movie must have been back in 1968, right? Just like how much they took it seriously, like, oh, mind controlling aliens, monsters that destroy the whole planet. Wow. And then us being like, man, this is fascinating and bizarre because it's so obvious and bad,
it's very quaint
and cheesy, right? Yeah. They had zero budget. God.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that I keep trying to put myself in the space of somebody who was there at the time. Like, I can't call this bad. I can't call this low budget. This probably was tremendous for the time when it came out, and we've just outgrown it and outpaced it. But it's been very fun to go back to. Like, this movie offers us something that modern movies do not offer us, which is not to cast a judgment on any era or any form of filmmaking. It's just nice that there's so much variety out there as we go on, as we journey forwards in time and in film. and we can really enjoy like Pacific Rim, and we can really enjoy this.
Yeah. Let me see. How is can I do this thing here? What is that equal?
What thing?
I'm trying to see if I can get like a yen to dollar.
Oh yeah.
Thing. How
Because the Wikipedia gives us the original budget and then the budget inflation, but only in yen. So I don't know what that is in USD.
Let's see. Yen to dollar. It has the what? How did that work? It started to there's the one that pops up on Google, but it's not working right now.
Let me see.
No, like it's not doing that thing. Let's see here.
Okay, I think I've got it. Okay, so Wikipedia's got the original budget and then the equivalent in 2019. Nobody comes in and updates this Wikipedia page every year. But in 2019, that amount of yen was equivalent to about $5.3 million, which is on the smaller side. But
which
isn't
is on the very small side.
But it isn't like pitiful by any means.
Well, by my standard of what I make every year, that's a lot. But yeah, $5 million. That is not much at all. And yeah, I'm super impressed with all of the stuff that they can do and make. My girlfriend is into those like really, really cheesy horror movies that you can find on like Amazon, like Attack of the Killer Donut, and stuff like that. And she like some of those probably are like college student projects that then somehow got some distribution on Prime Video somehow, some way to upload it. And it's kind of ingenious, the stuff that they do as just like college kids, right? And like can do all of that stuff. So like that is like the closest comparison I have in my mind. But yeah, just like I can't help but just be like the art kid in me is just like bravo, like you had fun making this. I know you did.
It looks fun. I want to ask you about something that a structure that was in the dubbed version I watched, and I don't know if it was in the original Japanese version. The dubbed version has this man narrating it like it's an educational film. It's like, observe, Monster Island. Here the monsters live in peace. And like, I don't think this is a character. I don't think this voice is talking to anybody. It's just narrating to us, the audience. Like, see Godzilla walk out into the water. The island, it's got its own protective features, separate for every monster to keep them inside.
I think they did have something like that in the Japanese version. I am remembering like when they explain there's like security systems and stuff like that. They have that, but it was only at that part. Like did that carry through the rest of the film? It was in the beginning,
not the rest of the film. It did just abruptly stop at one point, but it was that opening part and then like maybe a couple minutes after the opening credits. Okay. It's kind of throughout like the first like 15 minutes. It wasn't a structure of the entire thing. Not that I would have minded. I kind of like that. I like that it's just presented like it is a film you watch in class, or like if you're going to a museum in the world of this movie, they've got a little video you sit and watch about, and this is how we made Monster Island.
Yeah, here's how the security systems work on Monster Island. There wasn't much of a narrator. I didn't really notice it all that much. I could be convinced that my memory was wrong and it was actually one of the characters that was explaining it to another character somewhere in
that's
there.
Possible that we missed that.
But No, not much narration besides that bit
Mm-hmm.
there. But yeah, so I want to go back to the Killax real quickly
Okay, yeah.
because we did not mention their mind control stuff
Yes.
yet. So they are mind controlling all of these monsters. That's what sends them into this rampage. They there's a number of ways that they do this mind control. One thing is by like implanting these chips in
Yeah.
the back of people's necks, and that's what's controlling them. And then there's one character, a woman who slips by security who's looking for those chips in
Yeah.
the back of the neck, and she doesn't have one. Instead, she has these like pearl these pearl earrings that she has on, and they eventually figure it out and they rip those out of her ear and all that stuff. But then they also, to mind control the monsters, have sent these like the space rock looking things down into different strategic locations around the Earth that give off a signal. And I think at one point the signal is broadcasting from the base on Earth that they have. And then eventually they switch it to their moon base, because yes, they also have a base on the moon, because why not?
Happy to see so much moon this week.
Yeah,
we're coming up on Moon Day, the anniversary of the moon landing.
But yeah, they're like beaming signals, all of that stuff, and eventually the Earth finds them all. They destroy them all. But that it was interesting to see that. Yeah, they have like multiple ways of mind controlling different people and things and stuff like that. I thought that was neat, because usually a movie like this will pick one way. They'll have a specific device, and once that device is destroyed, then it's done. This has like multiple ways to do that. And that was neat.
Killax, very versatile.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to break through the security functions on Monster Island. So all the monsters break out, and like within hours, they are all across the world. They travel very fast. And the monsters are attacking different important world sites. So let's see. Godzilla attacks New York City. Classic. Rodan invades Moscow. Mothra lays waste to Beijing. Wikipedia says Gorosaurus destroys Paris, although Baragon is credited for its destruction. Manda attacks London. And this is before they've revealed the mind control plot. And I'm like, are these monsters smart enough to know what important human architecture is? Like, why does Baragon know? The Arc de Triomphe. If I take that down, that'll really hurt him. And then when you learn no aliens are doing it, it makes slightly more sense that these aliens were smart enough to be like, Arc de Triomphe. That's humanity's weak spot. Take it down. Like, it's not even like very important, like structural things. They're not taking down like fortresses or military centers or places of real power. It's just landmarks, right? It's just monuments. You've done nothing practical except for hurting a bunch of people's feelings when you destroy the Arc de Triomphe.
That's also just the easy like movie way to explain, oh, they're in Paris. I know. There they are destroing the Eiffel Tower.
All these postcard images.
Right? Yeah.
I just think it's funny to see a monster attacking just a historical statue that has like no offensive or defensive value.
Yep. Did you have, so we got introduced to a bunch of different monsters besides Godzilla. Did you have a favorite monster that stood out? The one that you were like, oh, that's neat, or just like, what the hell?
I didn't know Mothra had a caterpillar form, but it makes
Same.
sense. Mothra's not a moth at any point during this movie. Mothra's a caterpillar wiggling around.
It's good old Caterpie just destroying buildings
exactly.
and shooting his like cocoon webbing stuff. Yeah, I had no idea about that. There was the like big long like snake worm looking dude. I don't remember
I like
what
that
his
one a lot.
name is. They had a spider looking one, which I did not like.
Yes.
I don't like spiders. But then what was Godzilla's kid's name? That's the one I want to find out.
Is his name just Son of Godzilla? I liked him because he looked like the baby from Dinosaurs.
He really did. He has this face that's meant to like look like much more it's Manila. That's the one.
His name isn't just Godzilla Jr. That's nice.
Good old Gotti Jr. No, it's Manila.
It's like mini Illa.
Yeah.
I get
Illa.
it.
Interesting. First appeared in Toho's 1967 film Son of Godzilla. It is the adopted son of Godzilla and is sometimes referenced as Minya in the American dubbed versions.
That makes sense. I was wondering, like, where's mom? But he adopted. Where's he from? Where'd Godzilla find him?
Interesting. Let's see. What is this? Is this the American one here? No, that's the 10th film in the Godzilla franchise. So
wild looking.
Immediately after Destroy All Monsters, the next movie is All Monsters Attack. That's the 10th Godzilla film here. Interesting. Manila was an interesting one to me. I did not know that was a thing. That was new to me. That it was like, hey, here's the son of Godzilla. But yeah, he just has the like sweetest baby face in there. And then at this big end fight scene where King Gidorah is just getting the shit kicked out of him, he is like safely from a distance, just like cheering everyone on, just like, Dad.
I love when the monsters like raise their arms up like they're exasperated at something. Yes. The like monster physicality is so funny.
It really is. There was this one moment where I think it was Godzilla. They're fighting Gidorah. And he's like, you can tell he's like angry or upset. And he's just like, oh, man. He just has this like real, like he is the angry dad, just like tossing his arms and like, and it was just like, that's the funniest thing ever. And then,
Godzilla's
after
they
beat King Gidorah and they just start like celebrating and dancing and they're just like, oh yeah, hey, happy. It's the funniest thing. But man, that end fight scene though, that was neat. I think is one of the best scenes in the film. Just to see all of these monsters team up and do their special moves or start like doing their webbing and all that stuff to hold Gidorah down, to bite its neck, and there's blood on Gidorah.
Oh,
now they're punching it.
Minilla does this thing where, again, he's like farther away. He's a safe distance. He's a child. He's a safe distance away from the main fight. And he like yells out of a laser ring, like he's blown a smoke ring out of his mouth. Yeah. And it like zooms across to where the fight is. And then it like turns and flips and goes around one of the Gidorah head's necks. Yeah. Yeah. And then it like shines and then that head is dead. What was that?
Yeah. It seems like he took the like radioactive breath and is like, hey dad, smoke rings. They're all the rage nowadays. Let's make this a ring. And so yeah, he like spits out this ring.
But the idea that the ring can then like angle and like bank off of things once it's out of his mouth is funny. I do love that there is this mix of like these special moves that the monsters can use and also just stomping and kicking. And that's mostly what the final battle is that they get Gidorah down on the ground and they all just kick him.
Yep. They're all just beating him up on the playground. Man, yeah, that scene was fantastic, though. If nothing else, like that movie is worth watching just for that end fight scene, to just see these like 11 monsters just duking it out and just it's wild. It's so much fun. But yeah, it's a good one indeed. Let's see, is there more stuff that we need to talk about that we missed? Do we want to talk about the Earth people? Is there stuff that we missed with that? I
watched this movie in installments because I could like just have it on YouTube and I could go to my watch history and like go in and out of it pretty easily. So I would watch it in like little bits and I would watch like 20 minutes and then go back to it later that night and I'm like, who are the humans again? But I did really like that girl who does get under the mind control. And now you've got like a good chunk of the movie where she's under the mind control and she's kind of conniving and kind of sly. And she's almost like a spy. I liked that bit. She did that very well, looking real sneaky.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of cool outfits too. I did like that there's an international presence in the movie. Like it's the UN, I think, that like put together Monster Island. There's multicultural casts in some of these labs. Yeah. By multicultural, I mean Japanese people and white people. I don't think that got to a lot of other cultures.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that there's an attempt to show the larger parts of the world, to show that this would be a world concern.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it in a weird way, that woman, I don't remember her name, the one that was getting mind controlled. She also has that like James Bond like spy aesthetic to her,
right? Yeah,
and that mixed in with the like this old school sci-fi stuff makes for just this really neat mix. The Kilak layer that's underneath that's in that big cave really reminds me of like a Bond layer, right? Where it's just this big like
fake rocks
building inside this cave that has all this sci-fi equipment in it, right? And they're planning to destroy the Earth or something. And yeah, I just, man, I had a blast with this. I had a lot of fun. How do you think that? Here's the last thing I will ask, not to compare them per se, but how would you like? What is your thoughts on this versus the original Godzilla that we watched a few months ago?
They're very different, and they didn't come out too far apart. The original Godzilla is from 54, and this is from 68. The original Godzilla is a war drama. It's about these big ethical questions. We have a scientist who has invented this, like, while trying to do something good, he's accidentally invented this incredible weapon, and he's so ashamed of it, and he keeps it a secret. And when they realize they need to use it to stop Godzilla, he's like, I'm going down with this thing. I never want this to be used again. I will die so that no other like national force can ever use me to like rebuild this weapon to use it against any other people. I die here. And this is like, yellow astronauts in like bright yellow, like Lego costumes.
Yeah.
Mind control earrings. Stomping on a dragon that has 3 heads.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see, because like that was one of the things I was curious about, is like, I know Godzilla started as this very serious, like you said, this war story, this like it's a metaphor for the atomic bomb and all the destruction, uh to then go, like, how do we go from that to like, oh, Godzilla, he's so
Yeah.
cute, like, oh my god. uh and then in this we kind of get a third version of that, of
Mhm.
like, it's not like, yeah, it's Godzilla, he's still super destructive, like he's still that same destructive one we know, not necessarily cute, but it is just complete sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, this is just like, yeah, but what if like all the monsters lived on an island and then aliens mind controlled them, and like, what if they fought another monster from space, King Ghidorah? Like, how cool would that be, man? Um, and like, that is still kind of like, that is its own like third entry into what a
Yeah.
monster movie can be, and I think that's a
Mhm.
lot of
Yeah.
fun.
I think about mhm.
Go for it.
I think about Pacific Rim, which is a movie where giant monsters come out of the ocean and they begin to attack humanity. And this goes on for, I forget how long, but years, probably like at least this same 14-year time span that we're looking at between, in real time, the first Godzilla and Destroy All Monsters. And in that movie, I think there's a really interesting look at how people live in terror, they live in trauma, they live in
Mhm.
tragedy, but at some point, like, you have to learn to have some sort of fun and joy in life and sort of get something out of these monsters you live alongside of. And then you get like
Yeah.
the specific kaiju themed sneaker collabs. You get people dressed as the kaiju going on the late night talk shows. You've got Charlie Day with the tattoo sleeves full of these kaiju, because you learn to, like, you fear your enemy, you want to know more about your enemy, you eventually come to sort of admire your enemy, and yeah, you do see them almost like a fun pop culture figure at some point, because you've gone through so much. What else is left? Like, you can only live in the emotional space of the first Godzilla for so long before your brain just like kind of adapts and is like, yeah, we have monsters.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if I would describe it as like the Stockholm syndrome thing that you were
Yeah.
kind of getting at, but I see what you're getting at, and it is this like sense of pride, right? That they went from this thing of like, oh man, like there's this destruction, we need to fear it, we need to like do all
Mm.
that, to be like, you know what? I feel like we've moved on, but this is still a part of our history, and
Yeah.
I feel like this is something we should take ownership
Mhm.
of and control it
Yeah.
and steer it. And I
Yeah.
think that's what they eventually do with these movies and this whole kaiju genre, right? Of just like, hey, we can make it about that more serious stuff, or we can make it pure fantasy, or we can make it where he's our hero and our protector,
Yeah.
and like it there's all sorts of neat stuff that they can do with this, and it's just it's neat. It's neat to see all these different directions that it can go in. So there you
Mhm.
go. There you go. Good stuff. Destroy all monsters. That was a fun one indeed. Uh Melissa, I am pulling up our bingo cards
Oh,
here.
yeah. What's happening with bingo?
I'm gonna bring them up here on the screen. Bam, there we go. I'm not JJO in the bingo transition this week, because I need to fix that to do it to this screen and not the old one we used to do here. Um G
BINGO.
O bingo. Yeah. Cool. So let's see here. Do we have anything that we can put on here. No time travel, no time to eat breakfast, Superman analog, mysterious scar. The only the
I don't have
closest
anything.
thing, yeah, I don't have anything either. The closest thing I would have had would be like the spaceship AI, but they don't have an AI on the
I don't think
spaceship.
so.
So can't even get that. No characters who connect to computers. I know last time we did bingo, I had like character gets hit through building. I was kind of
Ooh,
expecting to see something like that in here. We
yeah.
didn't even get that.
This
Um,
one of my spaces is Santa might be real. A topic that is not broached in this movie, but looking at this movie, I can't extrapolate and imagine. Yeah, in Godzilla 14, Santa shows up.
Santa versus Godzilla. Godzilla versus Mecha Santa. Man, that's funny. Yeah, so no real update for bingo on
We've been
this
in a
one.
bingo dry spell.
Bingo dry spell indeed. Yeah. It happens. That's a-okay. But recommendations, Melissa, for people who
Yeah.
liked this, what else might they like?
I think it was a good idea to mention Beetlejuice earlier. That's not a comparison I would have thought of. But if you want more of the practical effects and the living inside of a miniature, you could watch Beetlejuice. It's an interesting comparison point. This is another weird connection, but to be in this very, very stylized, brightly colored 1968 reality where everything's so heightened and nothing feels real, everything feels very obviously designed. It kind of reminded me of the aesthetics in The Love Witch, which is a movie we watched. This was episode 128. We covered this for Halloween 2020. The Love Witch is a movie that is stylized after like a 1970s like Technicolor thriller about this witch, this contemporary witch in those times who's like lost a bunch of lovers and moves to a new town, and she's going to start over, and she has these series of lovers who disappoint her, and then she kills them with magic.
Yeah. That
and the whole
movie was wild.
The whole thing's like really psychedelically colored and surreal, and I don't know, if you just want another really unusual aesthetic space to live in, you could watch The Love Witch.
Yeah.
And then to talk more about practical effects, one of my favorite YouTube channels is the film essay channel, the Royal Ocean Film Society. And they just put out a video like a week ago called How Ray Harryhausen Combined Stop Motion and Live Action. There's just like a 13-minute, really nice, like well-researched, well-put-together look at stop motion and Harryhausen's craftsmanship.
Interesting. Yeah, there you go. See, I'm trying to find this comic that I was mentioning earlier. This like sci-fi comic here. No, I don't want to do those. I want to do, where did it go? Oh man. So I found it. It's called Space Hawk. Let me see if I can pull up an image of this in just a bit here. Yeah, there we go. Pulling it up on screen now. This character, Space Hawk, by Basil Wolverton, is just like these bright, primary colored sci-fi weirdness that I think this movie encapsulates. It is it's really incredible, just bizarre stories of sci-fi space travel and aliens and just space adventure. I would recommend that because I did read a good chunk of that book on Comixology Unlimited years ago. I'm not sure if it's still on there. But yeah, that book was just kind of wild. So go check out something like that. Just some old sci-fi comics. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would recommend. What else would I recommend if you liked this? Oddly enough, I think Monsterland has a similar concept, or there is a similar concept to Monsterland in Powerpuff Girls. All of the kaiju live on Monster Island. And there is, I remember an episode where, the monsters break free, or there is this specific one that keeps coming to Townsville to fight, and they eventually like sit down and talk with this monster, and he's like lashing out because of some issue that he's having on Monster Island, and they talk with him and they reconcile and all this stuff, and he's just like, thanks, like I'll go back home.
It's a good one.
Yeah, so it's interesting with that, which I don't know if Powerpuff Girls is really a direct compare, like not comparison, like good recommendation for if you like this, but I connecting the concepts.
Yeah,
there, it's interesting. So, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, go check out the original Godzilla.
Right.
Go check out more of these things here. Good fun, good sci-fi space time fun, monster fun.
Just go find anything with a miniature or bright primary colors.
Indeed,
seek it out.
Indeed. I guess that is about it for recommendations, which means it is time for Melissa to do her pitches for this next week.
So I realized we have a pretty big hole missing in the comics that we've been covering. Just 2 Venn diagram circles that have never happened to overlap for us, which is that we haven't covered any female-led DC Comics titles.
You are correct.
We've encountered Wonder Woman in like a Superman comic. Earlier this year, we read Gotham by Gaslight. There's a lot of Catwoman in that. Sure. I thought, let's find some solo titles. So I went looking around on Comixology Unlimited. I didn't find a lot that was on Unlimited, so 2 of these we would have to pay for, unless you have like a DC specific app somewhere we can get them on. I don't know. You would have to advise.
Yeah.
Okay, but I have pitch number 1. This is Wonder Woman Rebirth Volume 1, I think. This is from the New 52. Yep. This is from Greg Rucka and Liam Sharp. Figured we could read the first 2 volumes of this.
Yes.
I looked these up on my Kindle, and then I took photos of my Kindle screen with my phone. All right, but first 2 volumes of this 2017 Wonder Woman story.
Yeah.
Heroic, iconic, unstoppable, armed with her lasso of truth and imbued with the power of the gods themselves. Princess Diana of Themyscira, known to the world as Wonder Woman, is one of the greatest superheroes in history. But who is she really? Not even Wonder Woman herself knows for sure. Diana's links to both the Amazons and the gods of Olympus have been severed. Her memories are a tangle of contradictions that even her lie-detecting lasso cannot untangle. To solve the riddle of her origin, she must embark on her greatest quest of all, finding a way back to her vanished home. To get there, she must team up with her greatest enemy, the feral beast woman Cheetah. Will this unlikely alliance shine light on the truth of Diana's darkest secrets, or bury them and her forever? This is volume 1, called The Lies. It says it collects odd-numbered Wonder Woman comics. And then volume 2 collects the even-numbered one. So it seemed like they were running like 2, they were alternating between 2 stories in this initial run. I was just
about to mention that. Yeah, that was an interesting detail about that one.
Yeah, so we could read volumes 1 and 2, and this would get us through the first, I think, 14 issues. With the odds in one volume and the evens in another, which would be very interesting. Indeed. Pitch number 2. This is Zatanna by Paul Dini. Yeah. This is from 2010, and this is one of the volumes we'd have to pay for. It's about $11. And it's also a longer volume. This is like 17 issues. It's a hefty one. So maybe a lot of time and money we have to sink into it, but it seemed interesting. I don't know anything about Zatanna except for that she looks cool. So I wanted to learn about her. The enchanting Zatanna Zatara has the hottest stage act in Las Vegas. And unlike the parlor tricks peddled by other would-be Houdinis around town, Zatanna's magic is no illusion. It's real. The dazzling mistress of magic can warp reality with just a few backwards words. But the supernatural is powerful, and in the wrong hands, it's deadly. So when the mystical menaces start causing trouble, Z steps in to stop them, from the evil sorcerer Brother Knight to possessed puppets to nightmare demons. But things get complicated fast when the foe is the ghost of someone she loves.
There you go. Good stuff.
And pitch number 3, this is some Starfire comics. These are from, let's see. These are from 2016. Again, we can read the first 2 volumes of these. It says this is by Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti. Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, the twisted minds behind the New York Times bestselling series Harley Quinn, introduced Starfire's first ongoing series. Life is bright and beautiful in Florida's Conch Republic. Warm weather, laid-back attitudes, an orange-skinned alien warrior princess. Tons of sunshine. Wait a minute. That's right. Princess Coriander of the planet Tamaran, the former outlaw known as Starfire, has relocated to Key West. Starfire is determined to start a new life for herself, a normal life. But assimilation is easier said than done. Though she quickly makes new friends, some of whom want to get very friendly, Corey finds the Sunshine State more challenging than she expected. She'll fly through the eye of a raging hurricane and battle aliens and subterranean creatures. But first and foremost, she'll need to find a roof to put over her head and a job to pay for it. Is Corey ready for a life in Key West? Is Key West ready for a life with Starfire?
Indeed.
Right.
Some good picks here.
Right. Yeah. I was delighted to find that Starfire comic. I think Key West is a very specific setting to put a character in. And it's good summertime vibes. So we could read first 2 volumes of Starfire, which we would have to buy. I think both of them would total about $11. We could read this big Zatanna volume by Paul Dini. Again, we'd have to buy for $11. Or the one that actually is on Comixology Unlimited are those 2 volumes of Wonder Woman.
Yes. I highly recommend those 2 volumes of Wonder Woman. Those are fantastic. Greg Rucka is one of my favorite comic book writers and writes an incredible Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
He has a book that I have yet to read because I'm trying to be disciplined and read a bunch of the DC comics as they were released. So I haven't gotten to his run yet. But he has one story called The Hikatea, in which there's a cover of like Wonder Woman's boot right on top of Batman's head. And it's a story that this woman goes to Wonder Woman to ask for help because I forget exactly what. I think she like murdered a guy that tried to rape her or something like that. And so Wonder Woman is there being like, absolutely, I will help you. But then Batman shows up and is like, actually, she's a murderer now. And Wonder Woman's like, no, fuck you, Batman. We don't no. So that is interesting stuff. On the Whatnauts podcast, the old iteration of this, we actually covered volumes 1 and 2 of Wonder Woman.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Fantastic. So you can at least hear me and my friend Paul talk about it on that. If you go to our website, it was number 68 on the Whatnauts podcast, volumes 1 and 2 of Wonder Woman. But yeah, that is good stuff. Ooh, man, really want to go with Zatanna by Paul Dini. However, I think I'm going to go with Starfire because that's the one that I know least about, and I don't know what to expect. Paul Dini is a fantastic creator. Has written a ton of comics. He was one of the creators of Harley Quinn, and I don't remember if he had a hand in creating Zatanna or not. I should go look that up. But has written a bunch of great comics. He worked on Batman the animated series, all sorts of stuff like that. So that would be a book worth checking out. And I know you specifically have been like, I kind of want to know more about the like magic side of DC. Like, who are those characters? And
maybe we'll save it for a Halloween.
Might have to go back to Zatanna and some more magic characters there. But yeah, I say let's go with Starfire. That's the one. I don't know what to expect with that.
Right.
Hearing the premise of this book is that she moved to Key West and has to start a new life is interesting because she's already had a life in the DC comics. So I don't understand. Like, is this like a start over? What's happening here?
Yeah, I don't know how it fits into continuity, and I think this is a good choice for summer. This seems like a good summer read. I really like the idea of getting to spend time in Florida. I think it's especially interesting that it isn't like Miami or some big city. She's going to Key West. What crime is there?
Key West, indeed. Yeah, so like Melissa had said, you guys can get this on Comixology, not Comixology Unlimited. You will have to buy this. If you have the DC Infinite, your DC Universe Infinite app, it should be on there. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Starfire. Yeah, I see it here. 12 issues. All 12 issues are on the app, so you can find them there if you are a subscriber to DC Universe Infinite.
Handy.
Yeah. So that would probably be a good cheap way to get that book, but it looks like right now it is on sale on Comixology for like $5 and some change. Yeah. So take your pick. You guys can do it that way. But yeah, Starfire, Coriander, Princess Coriander. That's what we shall do for this next week. Melissa, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kid shows you feel like only you remember. I don't think it's out yet. It might be the next episode we have coming out. I'd have to double check, but we talked about some Green Lantern, the animated series, if you're in the mood for more DC.
That's a good show, which we also covered here.
Yeah, we talked about all of it.
Yeah.
Back in like 2019 or something, a long time ago. Yeah. And then for our show, for Saturday Morning Obscurities, we cover like an episode or 2 or 3 episodes of something. So, my brother's a big Green Lantern fan. This episode's coming out around his birthday. So he's like, it's a birthday treat for me. I want to talk about Green Lantern.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer. Did I hit the button? Come on, button. There we go. Okay. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we're at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. Let us know in the comments down below on YouTube what your favorite monster was here in Destroy All Monsters. That would be fun. But this has been number 213 of the Whatnauts Review Show.